Well, hey there, this is Jerry, and I was getting started on another episode of What's Broke Today. And today, I got an older John Deere Gator. I think it's up there. It's an AMT626. Runs like crap. So, first thing I was going to do is I pulled the screw out of the carburetor to drain the bowl. And of course, this has a Kohler conversion kit that I put on a few years ago. But I can go through here in the fender well, and I don't know how this will work. Let me get the camera where it's definitely up out of the way. You may not be able to see, but I'm going to take my 10mm ratchet wrench, reach through here, and take the bowl of the carburetor off to look inside. And that does smell like gas. Oh, I dropped the nut, but it's a little bit of crud down in the bottom of the bowl. Because, yeah, when you start it, it'll idle. It just won't accelerate, but there's something down there in the bottom of that bowl. Yeah, I'm going to blow that out and then bring my blow gun and blow up through the center of the carburetor. And let's put her back together and see if it runs. And I don't know how well this is going to work. So I'm going to try to reach through here with my blow gun. I think I might hold the camera. I'm going to put it right up underneath where the screw for the bowl goes in, and then just give it a few shots of air. Oh, I need to reach in there and use my left hand because the articulation's better. We'll put the bowl back up there and get the nut started. And it don't really matter what way that drain points, as long as it's someplace where you can get to it. Take my 10mm ratchet wrench. Tighten that down. Okay. And I don't know how well that's going to work because I got the air filter off. I was checking it to make sure it wasn't, restricted or had dirt or anything in it. And it seemed and looked okay. So we get neutral. And choke cable, don't want to pull. Yeah, and that still don't sound right. Let's see where the spark plug's at. Oh, it's right up there on top. I'm going to pull the plug out and check it just for the heck of it. And that looks like it's a 5/8. I'll move that over there and hoping that's a okay view. That's where I'm standing at here. I can't really tell. But Wouldn't that be funny if all it needed was a spark plug, even though that kind of looked like it might be fairly new. Oh, that is fouled big time. BKR6E. I'm going to go get I don't have one of these, but I have an RC12YC I can stick in it. But based on that plug, tells me it's running extremely rich, which probably means taking the carburetor off and doing a more thorough inspection. But let's try that just to see what it does. Okay. Yeah, so I'd say our next step is to pull the carburetor, which shouldn't be too bad. I'll have to unhook the choke cable. Looks like the throttle and stuff unhooks pretty easy. 10 millimeter to get the carburetor off of there, and probably pull that fuel filter off just to look inside it. I wonder if the paper element come loose and let some dirt get past the element in the filter. But we'll investigate that tomorrow when we pull that off there. Okay, now I get that hose off. That's our crankcase breather, which that hose almost might be too loose on there. But I'm gonna start out with the taking the choke loose, and that's just coming up here an 8 millimeter nut, or come up here an 8 millimeter bolt, and get that out of the way. Then I can take our choke cable and come here up and pull it up out of the carburetor. I'm gonna come up here at the fuel pump and pop off the fuel line, and then from the front I'll start loosening. I'm gonna kind of loosen these a little at a time. Well, there's a lock washer on there, but I don't see one. Hmm. As I slide the carburetor out, our throttle linkage, I can disconnect everything and then slide that off, and there's our carburetor. Now we'll take it to the bench and take it apart. Okay, this is interesting. How about not seeing things you've seen before? Here's where it don't run good. The throttle or the choke plate is broke and is blocking the throat of the carburetor, which basically means it's choked all the time. So we're going to go and take this a little farther apart. And boy, hopefully I got something to fix that with. All right, well, I thought I'd take our choke step apart. I mean, this is something that um, the place that did the engine rigged up for the choke. So that goofy little steel plate, and some of that's to hold this choke piece on, but then pull our choke piece out of here. That, oh, that's stuck, well, not terribly bad stuck in there, but yeah, but where that's the other half of this must have sucked into the motor because it's gone. Because this butterfly was supposed to slide in a slot. And what I'm going to guess is that our, that's what I was part of what I was wanting to look at here. So you definitely, I thought at first it was because the, it might have pushed the choke plate too far, but there is stops. So this cannot over rotate. So that's what I was looking at here. This plate they made basically just sets over the top and holds that down, and that screws almost like a pivot point because that, this sets down on top of there. Okay. And I do not have another one of these carburetors. I have carburetors that have a similar setup, but the bore in here isn't big enough. So I guess I'm just going to order a carburetor. It's about the only choice I got for that. Okay, back here, new carburetors arrived with a throttle or a choke shaft that's in place. And I was figuring since this piece was good, I'm just going to reuse it. The biggest thing is I got to put this back on here, and I do not see any threads down in that hole. So I checked the screw that came out, and it is a 10 by 32. So I just went and got a 10 by 32 tap and figured I could cut threads in there. make sure all the flakes are out. But these two deals here, there is an application where this engine was on a generator and had an electronic governor. But since ours doesn't, we're going to use one of those holes for, just like they did from the or from, I think that's Repower Pros that set this kit up. Now, if you notice, I put Loctite on the threads on top of that there, and also on these washers, because when we get this all put together, we don't want none of this moving. Okay. And that's a little bit tight. Let's pull that off there. I'll move one washer down. I got Ash in trouble here supervising. Okay. And that looks like it's going to work okay. That could probably still be up just a hair higher, but that ain't too bad. And of course, it came with new gaskets, and I did opt for an OEM carburetor because I have such terrible luck with aftermarket carburetors. I hate to even try them. And all the gaskets stayed on the old carburetor. So next thing I need to do is I need to go out and we got to free up um, the choke cable and maybe even put a stop so that when this closes, it doesn't, you know, try and over pull. Even though the way this is set up, that little pin sticking out of the top of the carburetor. Well, I say I'm pointing to the one, but there's a smaller one up here a little closer that bottoms out on, and you just can't turn it any farther. So it still makes me wonder why that failed. So, but let me get the John Deere thing pulled up closer to the barn, and then let's get this thing put together and finished up. All right. Well, I'm hoping this works good where I got the camera. I'm going to start out with, let's get the correct gasket that goes on the engine side, which is going to be this one. and slide it up on there, because there wasn't no gasket stuck up there in the beginning. And then, okay. Now our next thing is I was going to try and change something with this choke cable, but that just really isn't, there ain't really a good option for that. So I'm just going to rehook that, slide the carburetor back there, reach down through here, and slide the carburetor up on there, and then line up my, so that light shine up my face I can't see. Get that in the right spot, that rod will fall down in. Then I got to take the spring and I probably have to go get some needle nose pliers, because when my fingers are there I can't see. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get that in the hole. Slide all that in. Alright, that looks good. I can take my other gasket and make sure I put it on the correct direction, which is like that. Of course, my hand probably blocks quite a bit. Now I'll pick this camera up, put it up here. For air intake, I went ahead and put the air filter back on it just because it's easier to do it now than later. Okay. That started. Let's see if I can get the goofy angle to reach in here and start the other one. And just rotate, alternate between the two bolts to tighten them up evenly. And we got our crankcase breather hose goes on. Of course, last but not least, secure the choke cable. Well, I say last but not least. Close to last. Bring that up over there and around. Get the bolt through there. And get it started. I'm going to reach over and push the choke all the way in. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to take and put the fuel line back on the carburetor. And then get it back up here on the fuel pump. Let's see how our choke works. Okay, I'll pick up my tools. Okay, it is time to start this bad boy up. And make sure it's in neutral. Carefully pull the choke out. Make sure I put the spark plug back in it. I did. Okay. Okay. That don't sound too bad. And I turned the idle down just enough with the belt and pulley stop. So you can see if you throttle it up, all that sucks down in there. And that rattle you hear is the front clutch. Well, I was going to say that should wrap up our John Deere AMT626 that I took it out for a drive up around the back, and it ran good, idled good, able to shift it without grinding. So I'm going to call it good to go. That I did put a spark plug in it, and I'll say her son-in-law did change the oil recently, so we don't need to do that. So, but hey, I do appreciate you watching. I appreciate all those people that have subscribed to my channel. And anybody else out there that's not a subscriber, feel free to join on in, because no telling what else you're going to see on What's Broke Today. Thank you.